8 billion souls crammed into a single concrete jungle. What if all 8 billion humans lived in one city? It feels like a fever dream, a wild thought experiment. Just imagine packing everyone into an area roughly the size of Florida, that is about 170,000 square kilometers. That gives each person only 462 square meters of ground space. But that is not even for living. That is the entire city footprint. You would not get a yard. You would get a tiny cube of air. This city would need the tallest buildings ever conceived. We are talking structures reaching 200 or even 300 stories into the sky. Thousands upon thousands of them, forming canyons of steel and glass. Living here would be an extreme challenge. Transportation would collapse under its own weight. Regular cars and buses would be instantly obsolete. We would rely on incredibly advanced systems, maybe high-speed magnetic levitation trains hurtling through subterranean tunnels, or vertical horizontal elevator networks moving entire blocks of people. A journey across the city could take a full day or even more. The sheer volume of commuters during rush hour, which would be all hours, is unimaginable. Energy consumption would skyrocket beyond anything we currently know. Our planet uses about 170,000 terawatt-hours of energy each year. This one city might demand 1 trillion terawatt-hours annually. That is a very massive amount. It would require hundreds of advanced nuclear fission reactors or enormous orbital solar power arrays covering entire deserts. Every single building would function as its own power station, feeding into a giant grid. Supplying food for 8 billion mouths in one place presents an insurmountable hurdle. Traditional agriculture would vanish. Giant vertical farms reaching hundreds of meters high would dominate the city's interior. They would grow crops using hydroponics or aeroponics. Still, that would not be enough. Massive food shipments would arrive daily. Hundreds of colossal cargo planes or ships would dock at automated ports, bringing in billions of tons of produce. Perhaps 365 billion kilograms of food per year, just for basic sustenance. Water supply is another critical point. Desalination plants on an unprecedented scale would be needed. They would filter perhaps 50 billion liters of seawater every 24 hours. Complex closed-loop recycling systems would reuse every drop of water again and again. Waste management is perhaps the most horrifying aspect. Each person generates around 1 kilogram of waste every day. That is 8 billion kilograms of garbage. Piling up daily, landfills would become instant mountains. There would be no space. Advanced incineration plants might handle some. Others might propose sending waste into space, but the cost and energy for that would be astronomical. Imagine the pollution. The air quality would be horrendous. A constant smog would hang over the city. Breathing would be a conscious effort, not a natural reflex. The urban heat island effect would create internal temperatures 5 to 10 degrees Celsius higher than outside the city limits, turning parts of it into an oven. Social dynamics would fracture under immense pressure. Privacy would be a lost concept. Every space would be under constant surveillance to maintain order. Crime rates could soar. Policing 8 billion people would require a security force of hundreds of millions. Mental health crises would be pandemic. The ceaseless noise, the crushing crowds, the total lack of natural environment. People would never see an unobstructed sky, never feel grass beneath their feet, never experience true silence. Many would live in the artificial twilight of lower city levels, craving natural light. Personal expression would be stifled. Public art would be impossible to appreciate among the masses. Even simple pleasures like a quiet walk would be gone. Governance for such a supercity is an entirely new challenge. A single world government might emerge, or maybe a vast distributed AI system would manage resources and regulate behavior. Making decisions for 8 billion people through traditional democracy is impossible. A digital direct democracy with billions of votes on every issue would overwhelm any system. The bureaucracy itself would be larger than many current nations. Hundreds of millions of administrators would manage basic services. Communication networks would need quantum-level speeds, handling trillions of data packets per second. The internet as we know it would be a tiny whisper. Schools would be massive digital learning centers. Workplaces would be incredibly dense and efficient. The global environmental impact during construction would be catastrophic. Building a city for 8 billion people would require unimaginable quantities of raw materials. Steel, cement, glass, plastics. Entire mountain ranges would be quarried for stone and metals. Vast forests would be cleared for timber, Rivers would be diverted or dammed to provide water and power. Biodiversity across the planet would plummet drastically. The natural world would become a distant memory, confined to tiny protected zones, or disappearing completely. The rest of Earth would be a massive industrial complex, a barren landscape supporting this one human hive. The ocean ecosystem would be devastated by the demand for water and waste disposal. Atmospheric composition would shift dramatically from pollution. The entire planet's ecosystem would suffer an irreversible trauma. Even if the city were only the size of Rhode Island, at 3,100 square kilometers, the density would be over 2,500,000 people per square kilometer. Hong Kong, for comparison, has about 7,000 people per square kilometer. Manhattan boasts around 26,000 people per square kilometer. This city would be hundreds of times denser than anything previously imagined. Every personal space would be minuscule, every corridor a river of humanity. There would be no solace, no escape from the endless press of people. The psychological toll would be immense. Recreational activities would be confined indoors or to small artificial parks hundreds of stories up. There would be no nature for recreation, just highly controlled environments. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of community interaction and respect for neighbors. In this city, true neighborhood would be swallowed by the sheer scale. Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, and Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, taught about justice and compassion. These virtues would face extreme tests in a place where resources are so thinly spread among so many. Finding moments of peace and quiet would be utterly impossible. The constant hum of machines and the collective murmur of 8 billion voices would be relentless. It is a truly frightening vision, a world transformed into one monolithic human structure, a testament to extreme human density and the loss of almost everything else.